see him, like, so you don't know if, like, you know, she's like, I'm fine with that. I'm like, let's revisit this. But I think that's a great thing. A lot of people don't know. And, like, even me, I was raised in the 90s. Like, I was getting banned, but it was, like, still kind of, like, a foreign topic. I have a lot of friends from it, but now we've learned to respect this.
It is now 7 p.m. You got to excuse my voice. I'm under the weather still. Can you all put your phones on silent or vibrate at this time? Thank you. At the beginning of every council meeting, we start with prayer that's led by the Pledge of Allegiance. And today is Tuesday, August 15, 2023. And this is our regular meeting. I see Mr. Zander. He didn't ask to say the prayer today, but would you mind? Okay. Thank you. Will everybody join us and please stand?
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. We pray for the city council tonight, if we go smooth tonight, and we just wanted to pray for our city. We love the city very much, and we pray for Mrs. Kleinfeld here tonight, and pray for the city council, and let's go let this go smooth, so we can get this thing done and over with. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone that joined in to that. And thank you, Mr. Zander. Next is our roll call. Good evening, Ms. Holman.
Good evening, Mayor. Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Councilmember Cobb-Unice.
Present.
Councilmember Curley.
Here.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Here.
Mayor Owens.
Here. Thank you. Approval of the agenda, council.
Motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember Cobb-Unice.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. The hearing of the public is now open. You get 3 minutes in the beginning and 3 minutes at the end. The hearing of the public is now open for anyone that has any comments, suggestions, or ideas.
Hello, everyone. Cindy Federley, Eastpointe resident. I'd like to ask for clarification regarding my comments at the meeting on July 18th. I questioned the DivDat billing and asked who was responsible for ensuring the billed amount was the same as the contract amount approved by council. Mr. Blum said he just pays the bill submitted to him, that the bill matched the signed contract. The finance department should have control of finances. So who signed the contract with an increased cost? Who's responsible to double-check bills versus contracts approved by council? Residents deserve transparency, and I expect an explanation of how this occurred and how the process will be improved. As I said before, this opens the door for potential fraud. The next item is not on the agenda. At the meeting of August 1, Councilperson Cobb-Unice requested funds to be approved for her to attend the MML meetings in October. Since she will no longer be on council after the November election, I see no benefit to the city for her to attend this conference. The conference fee is $595, and we don't know what the lodging, transportation, and meals will cost us, the taxpayers. This is my tax dollars, and I hope Ms. Cobb-Unice has the integrity to withdraw her request. I would also like to thank Councilperson Curley for withdrawing his request to attend the conference, since he doesn't know the outcome of the November election. Thank you for thinking of us taxpayers. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Gary Myron, Eastpointe residents, here, council. I see you have some traffic lights on Kelly. It's getting some upgrading. My comments is if somebody's going to have to pay attention of where all the electrical boxes go into, just like the one out here. You know, you make your turn to get onto Gratiot from south to north, and there's a wall right there. You can't see because the electrical box is in the way. I mean, if it was on this side of the street, it'd be no problem. There's other ones through the city. Engineers and all that don't drive through the city all the time, every day. A lot of the residents here do. That's not they want safety. That's not safety. Let's get back to the lights on 9 Mile and Hayes and Beechwood and Hayes, or Beechwood and 9 Mile. They're set for 9 Mile for red for a long time. Traffic is all backed up. I've been there 33 years and never had an issue with them lights there. Before the new lights came in, if somebody was on Hayes, the lights would stay green on 9 Mile, just like they do on Grove. Same with Beechwood. Beechwood is a long light for sitting on 9 Mile. The best way to go is take Columbus, and I go the back way. I mean, it's just try to avoid it. Something should, be changed, but maybe it might. Parking on 9 Mile for the new construction. I think it should all be left the same. The little businesses, little people, they need that 1 to 2 parking spots to stay in business. You're getting rid of them. They're going to be around the block. You have to park. They're not going to happen. East Detroit Bakery, that block there, parallel parking in front. It gets used a lot. The bakery, I believe, owns that parking lot next to it. They bought the property. They tore down the building, and I believe they own that parking lot. They don't want all them other businesses to park in there. Was there ever any traffic violations of parking accidents? None that I know of. And I've been here all my life, so it's just, and in Eastpointe for 33 years. And, it just needs to be looked at. I think they should just keep it the same. Trees, yeah, they're going to block the businesses. And the crosswalks. You could put a crosswalk on every intersection, every street. It's not going to be used. So we just have to deal with what happens. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I am Frank Fozzi, as you probably know, owner of properties 17539 through 17605 9 Mile Road. I am here once again addressing you regarding my concern on how the 9 Mile reconstruction is being handled. I feel that the bureaucrats handling this for the city have been slow walking and not been forthcoming with its taxpayers, citizens, and even you, the elected officials. My properties have easements which were granted based on the fact that the easements restrict their use for parking purposes. Yet the city planned to remove all my parking. I had a title search done on one property which proves this. When brought to the attention of the city, they claimed that it is a unique property. If this was unique, how come subsequently that same language was attached to the deeds of my other properties? How many other property owners have also the same language? I cannot believe that the city wants to trample on the rights of its citizens. After the last council meeting, I was about to have a conversation with the mayor when we were interrupted by a bureaucrat and told that since I hired an attorney, all conversation must take place between attorneys only. Yet, when my attorney contacts the city, he is not responded to in a timely manner. Since when can't a citizen have a conversation with an elected official? Since when shouldn't we all expect responses in timely manner? The city cannot just come and take our easements rights away. It is the property owner's constitutional right. If it is an easement for parking, it needs to remain for parking unless just compensation is paid. I am requesting that the City Council does the right thing and keep the parking as it presently is on my block. The council needs to ask itself whether the only citizens whose rights are respected are the ones who hire a lawyer. The council should demand a review of all property rights being used for this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, members of the council and Madam Mayor. I'm David DeRoni of DeRoni Trevally Hardware on 9 Mile, and my family's owned and operated the business here in Eastpointe for 33 years. And like Frank, I'm very concerned of what's happening as far as the parking on 9 Mile. We don't want parking in front of our building to be eliminated, and I know we're in the next phase of the project, but we have parking where you can actually pull off of 9 Mile and park parallel to our building, but we don't want that to change. So we'd like the council to keep that in mind if there is ongoing discussion about the plan, if the plan's not official yet. I know the police department enjoys using the front of our building. Frequently in the morning, there's a car out there that's, I'm guessing, running radar that's catching people that are moving a little too fast down 9 Mile. But I always love seeing them out there. It's a great thing. The other question I would have maybe for Ryan of AEW would be, with these projects, and I'm imagining there's some sort of language in these contracts. I know you had said that it needs to go out to bid and there'll be different contractors that might get hired for the project, but is there some sort of language with a mechanism that if the work is not being done in a timely manner, that, or if there's a performance bonus if they get the job done sooner? Because when I see even what's happened on the west side of Gratiot, it just seems like I feel sorry for like Lewis Tool Rental with no access into their property from 9 Mile right now, and it's detrimental to businesses to not have customers able to get to your business. So I just want to be sure when they're moving along 9 Mile that whoever gets the award or gets the contract, that there's something that that they don't delay or drag on the project. If there is something that they're rewarded if they get it done sooner, that'd be fantastic. But I guess I'm just curious if there is something like that. It's already boilerplate in the contracts. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time? Oh, I'm sorry, our city manager will be reading a public comment as well.
I'm not reading the whole thing. There were some things that were inappropriate. I did forward a copy of it all to council, and I know this is something that we've done before, and a copy is on file. It's a letter from Karen Morajian that I received this afternoon related to Harvey Creech, but it is on file in the city manager's office if anyone would like to review it.
Anyone else would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, the first hearing of the public is now closed. Approval of the minutes, council?
Madam Mayor, I would move that we would receive and file the minutes of the regular meeting of August 1st, 2023.
Second that.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Cobb Muniz.
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings or unfinished business. And we're going to go right to our city manager. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. First, I'd like to thank first our clerk's department for all of their efforts and long day working the election, and then all of the election inspectors that we have. It really is a group effort for these elections to be pulled off successfully, and we appreciate everyone that comes out and really helps us ensure that those are successful elections. So thank you to everyone that really helps out and volunteers to work with us. Again, as a reminder, DHHS recommends to change your water filters every 2 months. So if you've not done so yet, or if you need additional replacement cartridges, we have them at the library, City Hall, or at DPW. The DDA does have another concert event coming up on August 24th at 6 p.m. here in the plaza. So there will be a band here again, August 24th at 6 p.m. in the plaza. And I did receive notice today that we have officially finished the agreement for the school resource officer between the school and the school district. So that's a great partnership to move forward. And we appreciate the support from council in order to do that. So with that, Mayor, Council, if you have any questions, I can certainly answer them.
Anyone have any questions for our city manager, councilman?
Yeah, Mayor, I had one. One regarding 9 Mile, Ms. Walton. After our meeting last time, so on August 1st, when we had our last council meeting, Mr. Kern was saying that we were finalizing the plans for 9 Mile. But then a follow-up from our Assistant City Manager, Kim Homan, said that the plans are finalized through MDOT. Which of those is the case?
Ryan has his mic. Go ahead.
Yeah, the plans have been sent to MDOT. They have been approved by MDOT. We needed to get those plans submitted so that we can get funding for the project. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's set in stone. If we still need to make some changes to the project, we can still do so. But in order to get funding, we did need to submit final plans in for approval.
So one example, follow-up question, the parking then, of course, as many people are asking about, that can be something handled.
Yes, that's still, can you hear me or not?
Yes, yeah, I can.
Yeah, it's, yes, there can still be revisions to those plans in regards to the parking. We still got time because construction's not gonna start until next year.
Okay. And then, so I guess, so how come, I thought that we would receive the plans before they were sent to MDOT for finalization, I guess, so we didn't get a copy of them before that?
Those plans were provided at the last council meeting.
Right, but that was after they'd already been sent to MDOT and finalized?
They were sent that week after the meeting. Well, we had a deadline to meet to continue to get funding for the project. But again, that doesn't mean that changes can't be made.
Sure. Okay, that's all I had.
I thought, excuse me, Mr. Kern, I thought we were all gonna have a meeting, and go over the plans before you submitted it. I thought that was what we talked about at the last meeting.
That was the intent of the last council meeting, was to review the plans as they are currently. We needed to get the plans submitted to MDOT in order to get funding obligation. But again, it does not mean that changes cannot be made. We have to move forward to meet certain deadlines. So if we need to add or change anything, we can still do so. We have the time to do that.
I guess that's not the argument. The argument is before you sent it, why wasn't we able to review it before you sent it, even though you can make changes? That's my concern, is when we talked about replacing what you already had put in place to do parallel parking, we all agreed that we would have a conversation before you made those changes or submitted that, and that didn't happen. So even though you can still go back to the drawing board, that's not the argument. The argument is, why did you turn it in without us looking at it and putting those things in place and seeing if MDOT would agree to that?
Madam Mayor, if I may?
Yes.
The meeting that we talked about last week is regarding to greening opportunities for along 9 Mile in place of grass. I believe we've set that for next week, the 24th, I believe. But that's the meeting that we talked about at last meeting that we were going to have regarding some of the beautification of 9 Mile.
I don't remember. I remember we talked about the parking, because we had the same people here talking about the parking and saying, can we do parallel parking? And Mr. Kern said that you all have a meeting about the project. And I asked, before you all have a meeting, when you all have the next meeting, can we all see it and talk about it? That's what I remember. And he said, yeah, I'll send you all an email when we can have that meeting. And I haven't gotten that email or rest of council before it was submitted. So even though we can change it, we're talking about in the future, before you submit a project, we want to just see it and make those changes, because that's what we want to actually review, to see if we can do parallel parking before they even approved it. Mr. Kern?
That was not, the meeting that was to take place had to do with future restoration issues and potential grants to do further restoration. That meeting was not to discuss parallel parking issues.
So I didn't give you a call about that?
You did after the meeting, yes, but when we talked at the council meeting last time, it was involving restoration and not parking as far as the meeting that we were gonna have, that we ended up postponing until next week.
I know that's the last couple meetings we have been talking about parking. So, any more questions for our city manager? I want to add on to the next council meeting, if it's if I can get support with council to go back into closed session for contract negotiation for the city manager.
You want to do what? I'm sorry.
Go back into a contract negotiation for the city manager. I know the last time we did a review for her, we were talking about possibly increasing her pay. She's been here for over 2 years now, I believe. And we was talking about that, going back and having that discussion. I want to see if council want to go back and do that.
Madam Mayor, I would suggest that we maybe wait until all of our labor contracts have been completed, and then address any potential increases once we see where we are at budget-wise at that point.
Okay, because I think it was your idea.
Yes, but my suggestion tonight would be, since we still have some labor contracts that are not finalized, we need to see where we are financially after that before we make any further moves.
When is that, the contracts be finalized?
We still have one left to finalize.
What's the date on that, you know?
We're not certain. We have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. But
Which one is that for? The
Fire.
Okay. I thought we were done with the fire. Not yet.
nope, we're not completed yet.
Okay. Thank you, Councilwoman and City Manager. All right, the next item is the Finance Director's Report. Good evening, Mr. Blum.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. I had nothing extra to report this evening, so if you have any questions, feel free.
Any questions for our director? None. And next is our City Attorney, Mr. Albright. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Michigan's distractive driving statute recently went into effect, and it allows municipalities to pass an adopting ordinance, which I intend on bringing before the council for approval, or at least a first reading at the next city council meeting. Today, though, I had a meeting with the city attorney for Hazel Park on an unrelated issue, and she informed me that her city is considering at tonight's meeting to enlarge the different actions which would be prohibited under the umbrella of distracted driving. Those would include, for instance, eating, drinking, applying makeup, and doing other things. And so I don't have a copy of the ordinance. It wasn't available online to bring before the council just to show ahead of tonight's meeting. But what I can do is include that in the proposed ordinance, and then if the council wants to add any of those different acts as prohibited acts, they can certainly do that, and we can have that discussion at the next meeting.
Any questions for our City
So
Attorney?
one of the things, I know you got to write the ordinance. So if somebody is on the way to work and they stop at Eastpointe Bakery and get a bagel to eat on the way to work, and they're take a bite of the bagel, the police could stop them and give them a ticket. Is that what you're saying?
That could be the case in Hazel Park as of tonight, yes. I'm not suggesting it should be adopted here. I'm just giving the city council the option to know that is something that is available. If they can have a discussion and then determine if they want, if the council just wants to leave it at using electronic mobile devices, as the state law currently is, that would be one option. Or if the council wants to enlarge that, if they believe that there are certain actions that should also fall in under the umbrella of distracted driving.
Yes.
Are you aware of any particular instances that we should be investigating prior to you bringing that to us? Like, are there some numbers out there that you think it would be important for us to know that, hey, there's a higher statistic of this occurring in terms of distracted driving in Eastpointe?
No, I'm not aware of that. I just, I had that meeting with Ms. Schwartz this afternoon, like I said, in an unrelated matter, and she just happened to say that they were bringing that before their council tonight, and it seemed like there was a lot of different acts that would be prohibited. And I thought that was interesting and certainly something that the council may want to at least discuss.
I think it would be helpful to us if there are specific instances that contribute more heavily to distracted driving, if we had that information before we create a bigger impact on both our citizens, people driving through our city, and a greater calling even on our officers to do something more than what the state is already requiring.
Thank you. And that's all I had. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Well, we can move right along to, you're not on the agenda, but I always add our police chief. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Mayor.
James.
I'm doing okay. I had a little bout of COVID a week ago, so I am recovering from that, which is why I have the mask on tonight, but I'm actually feeling wonderful tonight, so thank you for asking.
Thank you. We have any updates that you would like to update us with?
No updates other than what the city manager already brought forth with the SRO agreement. We do have an agreement with Eastpointe Schools, so I'm very excited to report that, and we'll be moving forward with the district within the next couple of weeks. School is right around the corner.
That's right. And just to add what the city attorney just put out there about the distracted driving, being the chief of the city, what are your opinions about that?
I really have not researched beyond what the state has passed. As far as, a lot of things can be considered distracted driving, but do they rise to the level of needing enforcement? Probably not.
Okay.
My opinion at this point is to look at what the city attorney presents and go from there and see if there's any statistics or any research that we have at the PD that would indicate we need anything more or less than what we're asking for.
Okay, thank you, sir. Any questions for our chief?
Madam
All
Mayor,
right.
I do have a comment. SIMCOG is at the helm of this whole distracted driving legislation, so I would encourage all of our council to go onto SIMCOG's website. There is quite a bit of information available there, and there's also representatives from there who were pushing for the legislation who would have information that would be helpful to us as well.
Any other comments, opinions? All right, moving right along. Thank you, Councilwoman. Right to new business. Item A, adoption of resolution number 23-1968 to approve MDOT contract number 23-5287 for Kelly Road traffic signal upgrades. Council?
We have a brief overview of this item.
All right, I can give that. All right, so we put out for bid through MDOT the Kelly Road Traffic Signal Project, which is to modernize the traffic signals along Kelly at Topher, 9 Mile, and Stevens. We had a budget, well, first of all, we did get a safety grant through MDOT in the amount of $450,000. The city also budgeted $330,500 towards the project, which also includes construction, administration, and inspection towards the project. So a total of $780,500 for the entire project. The bids came in higher than what we expected. We had 4 bids received. The highest bid was $899,891 from Rawhorn Electric. So we're over budget by $180,000 on the construction end, basically. If you recall, we did, as part of the city's end of the budget, we did look to upgrade the traffic signal at 9 Mile to decorative mast arms. And then Topher and Stevens would just be a standard box span configuration like we did on the 9 Mile and 10 Mile traffic signal modernization project here about a year ago. We did look at some ways. I guess, first of all, when the bids came in, MDOT asked us, are we either going to move forward with the project or are we going to reject the bids and rebid the project? They only give us 2 business days to decide on that. We did tell them that we're going to reject the bid since we did not meet the budget on the project, and we'll come back to them with a redesign of the project and rebid it. There's some alternatives that we looked at as far as trying to get this project into budget. One would be to go back to just putting a standard box span configuration at 9 Mile instead of the decorative mast arms. Looking at the bids, it looks like the decorative mast arms was roughly an additional $100,000 to the project. Another option is that we were proposing steel strain poles at the intersections of Topher and Stevens. The cost of those steel strain poles altogether came in at about $137,000 of the project, much higher than we expected just for that item. That includes the foundation of those poles as well. We could replace those with wood poles instead of steel poles. That's not necessarily ideal, but that is an option. There's also the potential to use some existing wood poles and utility poles that are out at those intersections as well. That would, if you were to remove the mast arms as well as replace the steel strain poles with wood poles, the estimated cost based on the bids that we received would be about $632,000 instead of $899,000. There's also the option of moving forward with how we have it designed with the decorative mast arms at 9 Mile and with the steel strain poles, but obviously we would have to come up with more money in the budget to do that. But I guess I'd like to have that discussion tonight on how the city would like to move forward so that we can get back with MDOT to, if we're going to redesign the project and then put it back out to bid.
Any more questions?
I guess I've got one question. My first, well, Mr. Kearney sort of answered it, but I guess kind of more of a question for Ms. Walton too. I think, and I don't know how MDOT's only giving 2 days. I feel like, because especially MDOT understands how this works, it should have been up to the city council if we're accepting or not accepting, you know, any of the bidders. Actually, you know, like what if it was 10,000 over, 50,000 over, you know, obviously this one was much more than that. But it seems like that's a city council decision. You're saying MDOT only gave you 2 days?
That's correct. I would agree with you, but that is standard practice that if a bid comes in 10% over the budgeted amount, they give that community 2 business days to respond back.
If it's within 10%, is that
If
what you
it's
said, or
within
more than-
10%, the project just proceeds as is.
And they still only did 2 days, even though it was, you know, it's much more than 10%.
Yeah, if it's more than 10%, you get 2 business days to respond. If it's less than 10%, you don't have to respond. The project just moves forward. That's standard MDOT procedure.
Oh, so any contract at any point in time, I guess most of our contracts are not like through MDOT like this.
Right,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Question?
Yes, I had a question. Do you happen to have any pictures that you could provide, just so we can kind of get an idea of what you're talking about, where you're talking about the decorative mast arm and the steel strain poles? Steel strip poles. Thank you.
He was ready. Thank you.
All right, as you can see, I came prepared for that question.
Thank you. Thank you for anticipating that.
All right. So on the first page that I provided you, it's basically just a diagram that shows what the standard used to be for traffic signals in Michigan. Before, the traffic signal basically was run on a diagonal across the intersection. And now, in recent years, they've changed that standard to the box span configuration that's shown at the bottom, which is basically a box. You got to pull at all 4 corners of the intersection, and it forms a box. And then you got a traffic signal head over each lane in each direction. And then I've attached 3 different photos, basically of 3 types of traffic signals that we're talking about. The first photo is a box span configuration, a standard configuration that's basically using existing poles or wooden poles. It's not the cleanest look. This happens to be the intersection of 10 Mile and Shaner, if you're familiar with that intersection. The second photo is basically the same thing, but has new steel strain poles, which is what we proposed in the original bid for this project. So there's a new steel strain pole, 1 at each corner of the intersection, and then we form the box signals around that intersection. And then the last photo is a recent traffic signal with decorative mast arms that was installed at Gratiot, Utica, and Roseville. The electrical feed comes in from underground. You've got the, basically a steel strain pole, again, what they call mast arm pole, and then you've got a mast arm anywhere from 30 to 50 feet going across the road. In this case here, the ones that we were proposing were coated to be black, which I think these were supposed to be too in Roseville, but for whatever reason they were not. They're just a standard steel look, but the ones that we would propose, or were proposing, would be coated black. But that's basically the differences in the traffic signals that are installed.
Any other questions, council? So we can move right along.
So-
Sorry, just had a question of clarification. Just to clarify, so we're only talking about a box span of traffic signal improvements along Kelly at Topher. So we're just talking about one set, or?
So the second photo in the packet would be what you would see at Topher and at Stevens. And basically there's gonna be 6 poles at that intersection because of Kelly Road being a divided road, same at both intersections. 9 Mile would also be, 9 miles with the decorative mast arms, again, there'd be 6 poles, but you wouldn't have the wires going all the way around the intersection, you just have the decorative mast arms, everything would be fed from underground.
I guess, just one last comment. Could you send back to council after you have a chance to look back at this, what the recommendation would be then?
We could definitely do that, yes.
Appreciate that.
Any more discussion, questions, comments?
So the only other thing on that is in the council packet tonight, there is a resolution to adopt through MDOT, which is, again, standard procedure with all MDOT projects, that the city approve a resolution to agree to moving forward with the project. It's basically moving forward with the funding of the project. It's still going to be required regardless if we're moving forward with the project now or rejecting it now. The resolution still needs to be passed through MDOT, but we would still be looking to rebid this project out and come back in front of you with the final plan of what we would be doing.
And I believe, just one more clarifying question. I believe as I read the resolution isn't stating one way or another on any of these configurations,
That's
right?
correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the resolution is based on the funding and not necessarily the design or construction of the project.
Okay, thank
So
you.
to be further clear, we can accept the funding, we can say we're gonna go ahead with the project tonight, and that's what we would be doing with the resolution, but then we would have the ability to come back later and either reduce the amount that we're going to spend or find the funding somewhere else and approve a larger amount.
That's correct.
All right, thank you.
Council, how you want to move forward?
I would like to make a motion that we adopt Resolution 23-1968, a resolution approving MDOT contract number 235287 for box span traffic signal improvements along Kelly Road at Topher, 9 Mile, and Stevens Drive.
Second.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Cobb Muniz?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Item B is the adoption of Resolution 23-1966 to submit an application for the Michigan Community Center Grant Program. I know we have our senator here that wants to speak on this. I'm not sure. Senator Kleinfeld, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. This is an extremely competitive grant. My staff attempted to join the first webinar, and they were blocked out because it was full that quickly. Originally, this came out of a supplemental that was before the budget was approved. And originally, the supplemental was strictly for community centers. But we don't all have community centers, right? And so there was some negotiations in order to get votes to get this supplemental through that allowed for an outdoor space recreational activity. And so we started working on this about in March, I think, started talking to the city manager. We've been in constant communication with the department, wanted to know exactly when this was coming out. We wanted to make sure we weren't missing any steps and everything. So I just wanted to ask council, because this is a very quick moving grant, everything has to be in by the end of the month. So, and the department knows that we're pushing on this particular grant with regard to the splash pad. So I was just concerned if there were alterations to it, or if the council decided they wanted to seek a grant for some other purpose using this grant vehicle, we might not have as good of an opportunity to get it as if we pass this, because we've been pushing on it. That's no guarantee that we'll get it, but we're doing everything in our power. And we get a lot of points, in my opinion, for the fact that we've lost so many playgrounds because of the closing of schools. We lost our pool, we lost our community center, we lost our senior center. And one of the biggest point values on this grant is that you can show a need to the community, and it is for more distressed communities like ours. And we can definitely show a clear need that this community is missing recreation. So I appreciate your consideration on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I'm glad you're here. And also, we got our state representative. I don't know if you have anything to say. I want to make sure that you're acknowledged while you're here. You didn't have to say anything. I was acknowledging you, but
I do not have anything to say, actually,
Okay.
but I do appreciate you for the acknowledgement.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
And since you both are here, and I'm acknowledging you both, now we don't, you just named a whole bunch of different things that we don't have as a distressed community. And since you are both from this community, are you all putting a budget together so that we can have a community center and we can have a senior center back here in the city of Eastpointe?
We are both doing everything we can. We're fighting with 100 other people and 38 on my end. So we are both doing everything we can.
Thank you. Any questions or?
Yeah, Madam Mayor, this is something we've been talking about for a long time, and something that is going to be terrific for our city. So I guess I would ask the city manager to go into detail what it's going to look like, talk about the money that we're getting from RARE, are we not? And so the folks out here and people watching know what we're talking about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember Curley. So we did receive support from RARE. RARE submitted a resolution and had their full board support of doing a $125,000 match. So I did share that signed resolution with all of council this Monday. And in regards to the design, we did make it larger than what was initially planned for from the Spark grant. So it is larger, hoping to kind of encapsulate a lot of people and also incorporate members that are, because we do have support from RARE, also incorporate residents that are coming from Roseville. It does incorporate bathrooms as well to be convenient for the families that are there, and then also some covered seating areas for the parents and family members that are there and to block them from the sun. So other than that, we don't have specifics in terms of like full design, because that comes with actually bidding it out and seeing what comes back. But ultimately, that is the design of the splash pad. If there are any other questions, I can answer those.
Yeah, I have a question, city manager, about, because I'm looking at the amount that we're putting for a splash pad and we don't have a community center. There's no other way we can use this almost $3 million to use this to have a community center in the city of Eastpointe. We can't, because like our senator said, it's going to be very competitive, and other people might have the same idea of a splash pad. It's not like it's innovative or anything like that. It's nice to have, but it's not really something that's different, or like we had the ideas of exercising equipment and things like that. And is in here also how we're going to clean it and the staff and everything. That's all in the total amount as well.
Yeah, so that'll definitely be a part of our application process, and Senator Kleinfeld's Legislative aid has been really helpful in reviewing a lot of the documentation, and that is also covered in part of the cost, the training and labor costs that do go with it. And part of it is that with RARE, it is an authority that the community has voted on and we have an agreement with. And so we do have a community center, and I know RARE is actually, I'm not certain what their application is, but they're putting in an application, and others in the community are doing the same thing. But this grant is specific to recreation, and based on the wording of it, it seems as though our best application is going to be specific to recreation. As Senator just mentioned, with the lack of recreation, especially water features in the community, that we can put a very strong argument together, and especially the support that we have on the state side for this grant, that we do have the chance for a very strong application versus doing a community center grant.
We have a recreation department, but we don't have one in the city of Eastpointe, and that is something people have been complaining the whole time since I've been in office. So that's what, and so.
Well,
I guess-
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Well, when I finish.
when you're
yeah.
done, when you're done.
Yes, so I'm trying to figure out why aren't we trying to use the money? Please stand up, yes.
Thank you.
Let me finish, and then the councilman, then the senator, so we can all do things in order. So I'm trying to figure out why we spend almost $3 million for a splash pad, and we don't have a community center, and we don't have anything for our seniors in our community, because that can be a distressor, not having somewhere to go. When I go as a liaison, excuse me, as a liaison at the senior community housing department, the seniors are telling me they don't have nowhere to go, and they're very limited as a housing department in what they can do. So a recreation center gives our residents, our children, our seniors so much to do, and it helps with mental health. And I don't see, we can't do a splash pad in the wintertime, and so I'm just wondering,
Yes.
why hasn't that been put together and been
Okay, so we
priority?
took two things into consideration with respect to that.
Yes, ma'am.
You cannot build a community center for $3 million. I don't even think you could come close. It would be millions of dollars. More importantly, it then requires a significant larger staff footprint than the splash pad would. This isn't a community that's in a position to staff it, and RARE can do some staffing, but they're not in. The reason the community center closed to begin with was even collectively, we didn't have the money to staff both centers. So this option was chosen because the ongoing cost would not be as expensive. I would have liked to have put in a full swimming pool, to be honest with you, as opposed to a splash pad. But again, it requires lifeguards, it requires a lot more on an annual basis, and we were aware that that is not something that the community's in a position to do right now. And then the cost of the community center, you're putting a down payment on, and I don't believe that the city has the funds to finish that off when there's the courthouse looming and everything else. So we really want to attract families, young families, to reinvigorate the city too. So that was the thought process with respect to this, just so you know. This whole thing was sort of put in place before this was even a grant available to anybody. It was just an attempt to get ahead of everything, to have a fighting chance, because we've lost out so much in our community. But yeah, if you can give me $25 million, we'll put you up a community center for sure. So thank you. That's my reasoning. Thank you.
Thank you. I know Councilman Curley asked something. I want to
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. The senator pretty much said what I was going to say, that a community center isn't going to, this is $2,400,000. That wouldn't pay for the parking lot. But that's something that we can take a look at in years to come. The senior citizen over at 11 Mile and Gratiot, I'll say, is phenomenal. I don't know if all of the council members have taken time to go over there. You don't have to be a senior citizen to go over there to explore what they do over there. And it's practically in our back our yard to do that. So, all I've heard was great things about the building and what the opportunity have there for our seniors. So this is a great opportunity. We've added, as the city manager said, a bathroom so kids can change, and a shelter so the parents can sit there out of the sun and watch the kids. So I would hope that the council would pass this and move on with it. And again, thank you for our senator and representative that this is going to happen, hopefully. If we don't get it, we don't get it. If we don't get a splash pad, it's as simple as that. If we put in this and we don't get awarded the money, then we will not have a splash pad because we don't have the money.
I think he's all done. Councilwoman was next, and then Councilman DeMonico.
It was more of a statement and a question of sorts for the senator. I am excited to see anything that we can do on this side of 696 to improve the quality of life for our residents and particularly for families. Along with this, though, you mentioned if you could have, you would have put in a pool. And I know that there was also some previous discussion about making an investment into the high school so that that pool could be brought back up to code. Is that still, this aside, is that still something?
Was
that we're
able to
working
secure the money to fix the pool at the high school, yes. I brought the chair of K through 12 appropriations on the Senate side to the high school. We did a tour and we showed him the pool and explained the situation, and he put it in the budget and it made it through. So the school is going to get $500,000 for the pool. I also want to mention, today I met with life builders that are in Detroit. They've purchased the community center on 8 Mile Road. They are also applying for this grant as well. They want to do some more renovations there. I'm going to set up a meeting to tour that facility, and I don't know exactly what their plans are with respect to how Eastpointe interacts with that. But they're working on that community center I don't know how much they're paying after renovations, but they've done significant renovations to that building. But yes, we do want to eventually have the high school open for the public. The superintendent does have plans to eventually get there.
Question, well, so Senator Kleinfeld, maybe you'll know the answer, or Ms. Walton, about the 2.5 million, so let's just round here, we'll say the whole project's 2.5 million. If we get the grant for that full amount, how does the rare portion, can we like save that and use it for something else?
No, the whole purpose of the rare portion is there are points for a match.
Okay.
And we wanted to get those points, and as you know, there's been a discussion in RARE about putting money away to build something in Eastpointe recreation-wise. So there was a meeting and a discussion about it, and the decision was, if you can get this money and this match will help that, we will give the match. And the 2.5, I said, why ask for $1 million when construction costs are going up? Let's ask for the moon and the stars. Let's ask for the full amount and see if we come up with anything.
Okay. And then I don't know if this will probably be for a question later down the line, but I guess at least something to keep in mind for more the table right here, like an estimated maintenance cost per year. I mean, I know Senator Kleinfeld, you were touching on that a little bit because of course a pool's a lot more and a community center is even more. If we could, budget that in, or if we do know a rough amount right now, obviously we're not going to know, I would say, an exact amount or anything, but just something to keep in mind.
Also, and just really quickly, I called, I was not able to get a hold of you. I was in a panic because I thought it was going where the pool used to be, and I'm not sure what's underground there. So I was on the phone with Steve Pangori, and I was like, what did you guys do? Did you dig that pool up? Did they throw dirt on it? Because it happened so quickly. I had somebody else doing a little bit of research on it. They came back with, if I were you, I wouldn't dig that ground up. And I was like, oh no. So we may do a ground sonar, but I did talk to Steve, and he said the plans appear to be further not right where the pool was, but further to where the baseball fields used to be. And if that's the case, then we don't need to worry about it. If it's not the case, we're already talking about ground radar to check to make sure there's nothing down there, so.
If I may, Mayor, our wonderful Randy, our historian of the administration, did actually find a GIS map of it, so we can share that with you so you can see where the pool was. And then if we find any other information while we're digging for it, we'll certainly share it.
All right, thank you. I'll get my metal detector out.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I just had one more question for, actually, this is for either the city manager or Mr. Baker, because he is our rare liaison, right?
Parks.
Parks, okay, so not rare. But maybe maybe you've heard in the, but is the 125,000, that's coming from RARE's general fund? And is there any future financial impact to the residents of Eastpointe? So my understanding is that RARE was doing additional projects in Roseville and Eastpointe, so they were putting money away. I believe they had excess funding, and so they were wanting to do projects in both of the communities. Nothing was decided from the board to do anything in Eastpointe, and as Senator had mentioned, they were trying to reserve it for a larger project similar to a splash pad. So this is funding that RARE has designated as project money for Eastpointe.
If I may.
Yes.
Yes, that's kind of been a conversation going on for a while. I spoke with our Parks Chair, actually just today, but the thought of talks of a splash pad and then money from RARE to do a project has just been an ongoing thing. And from the survey that the Parks Commission did of the community, splash pad was like overwhelmingly desired in the city. And he also assured me that as a commission, they would still look for opportunities, because just along the lines of what Councilman DeMonico was saying, I was the guy that always asked, like, well, how do we pay for it? And so he was saying that they would also look for ways going forward so that costs can be sustainable, and just to research ways. And I know personally that Gary has, or Mr. Sasek has done an extensive amount of research, going to different communities, asking questions about, how do they do this? What, trying to get ideas about the cost, recirculating systems, so forth and so on. So it sounds like, I know there's some hard numbers we don't have yet, but I think just like Councilman DeMonico said, it's just something to think about moving forward. Because by ordinance, we can't have free water. Somebody has to pay, but the community has spoken that they do want it. So that's just my sentiments about it. Thoughts about it.
I think you look like you want to say something.
Just one quick comment, not a question. If you go on Google Maps and do Street View right by where it used to be, you can go back in time to October 2008, and it shows the pool. Might be kind of hard to match that with the map slightly, but it's kind of neat. Haven't done that before.
Wow. But yes, Lightskill does have our old community center. We sold that some years ago. But to rebuild a community center, I agree, can be very expensive, but you can also buy a building and reconstruct it too. Just like Life Skills bought our old recreation and they put love into it, we could have did the same thing, Senator. So hopefully we can get some money and some funding to have our own things in our own community so we can stop being distressed. I don't like hearing our city is distressed when we can have innovative ways not to make it that way. So hopefully, I know that you and our new state rep would make sure that we can become a better community, because we believe in you.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, pending that in that 2.5 is coverage for the water bill. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 23-166 to submit an application for the Michigan Community Center Grant Program for the installation of a splash pad, restrooms, a pavilion, and all necessary mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and other required features at the John F. Kennedy Park for a total cost of $2,443,804.80.
Support.
Motion is to Councilman.
Just for clarification, the resolution number is 23-1966. I didn't hear the 9, so I just want to make sure.
Okay, yep,
we got-
23-1966.
Okay, we have motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Cobb Muniz.
Yes.
I have Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Item C, and thank you, State Rep and Senator, for being here. Are you staying for the whole meeting? Thank you. And anytime y'all want to add to what you are doing up there in Lansing, just raise your hand. I'll let you speak, because it's not, it's very rare that you have a senator and a state rep come to council meetings. So I thank you for doing that. Item C, adoption of resolution 23-1967 to vacate the commercial alley behind I-Drive located at 17416 East 9 Mile Road, Council.
Mayor, I would move that we adopt resolution number 23-1967 to vacate the commercial alley behind I-Drive located at 17416 East 9 Mile Road, subject to the dedication of a public easement and to schedule a public hearing for Tuesday, September 5th, 2023.
Support.
Motion and support. Any opinions, conversations, comments?
Mayor, quick, question. There's one brief reason in here about why they want the vacation, but I guess in addition to why I'm asking why they want it, I think maybe in the future we should put some standards together as to why we would do this. Obviously, we vacated an alley recently on 8 Mile, but I'd say that one was considerably different. That one, it was just that block. None of the neighboring blocks had an alley. You couldn't even go through that full block already at that point. So it basically wasn't an alley, I guess, in practical terms. This one's a little different. The alley goes all the way east to Kelly. And I don't know if there's more to it, the reasoning that was stated, which, let me read off says the applicant would like to use the back alley to move vehicles as needed. Can't they use it to move vehicles as needed right now? I guess I was unsure of why we needed to privatize the alley for them to be able to do that.
Ms. Holman?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
It's my understanding that the practice has been if the property, the entire property, side street to side street is owned by the same owner, that the alley vacation will be considered. In this case, it's my understanding that the business owner, property owner, is giving up some of the drive space in the front to create more green space, and he would also like to fence in his entire property. He's had some issues with theft.
So then more likely they'll be parking cars in the alley, not just to move them around.
Ms. Holman?
If we're fencing them.
If it is vacated and combined with the property, it will no longer be an alley, so then it will be someplace that they would obviously be able to control.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, sir.
With the memo we got from the administration, it indicated that on May 16th of this year, the City Council approved proceeding with the application to vacate the alley, including the preparation by the city attorney for a resolution for council approval at a future meeting after review and approval by the city planner and city engineer. So maybe it wasn't a 5-0 vote, but this council already approved it on May 16th.
And Madam Mayor, if I could add to that, the information we were provided also indicates that this company owns the entire block on the south side of 9 Mile between Saxony and Lambrecht. So in keeping with the example that you gave for 8 Mile, as it relates to any businesses that might be in between those side streets, that is the only business.
Anyone else? Did we get motion and support already?
Yes.
We did? We called the roll and everything like that. Can you call roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanese?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
No.
Mayor Owens?
Yes. Item D, the bid award for security X-ray screener and inspection system. Council.
Madam Mayor, I would move to award the project of low bidder of Smith Detection Incorporated for the replacement and installation of the security X-ray screen inspection system for the amount of $23,705.
Second.
Motion and support.
Can we have a discussion about it?
Yeah, I was just about to ask you that, yeah.
Okay, I do have a question. I'm glad to see our administrator here. Because we had already previously approved, an additional $10,000, specifically towards this campaign, a couple of months ago. But it looks like now you're asking for an additional $13,705.
Yep. Well, good evening, Madam Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
So after doing some additional research, surveying of the district courts that have a security detection machine, we saw that the price they paid when they procured the machine, so it was some additional cost to it. I know we're asking for nearly almost $14,000 more. We did also submit a grant application with MMRMA to kind of supplement some of the costs for that as well. So we should know about that hopefully by the end of the month or in September.
Do you know how much approximately you hope to get from that grant?
It'll be matching funds, so whatever the city, whatever the court puts forward, the MMRMA will match that.
I just had one quick question.
Yes.
What was it? I guess I was wondering how long these machines are expected to last, and I just asked that because I guess hopefully we have a new court building in the near future. I assume that this is a machine that we could and would want to use in a brand new building. I couldn't think of any reason why not, but I figured I'd ask that.
Actually, in surveying of the course, Smith Detections, the vendor that won that we would like to award the bid to, they're and getting recommendations from the court, they had one of the best machines. It also they also come with maintenance, on-site maintenance. So if we needed servicing for the machine locally, they have somebody in the area. But all the courts that have a Smith detection machine raves about it. So,
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so it would last a long time, and hopefully in the new building as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, concerns? Thank you so much. Seeing none, I think we have motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanese.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item is the approval of the special event application for the Premier Tax and Consulting Group grant opening at 14943 East 9 Mile Road. Council.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the special event application for the Premier Tax and Consulting Grand Opening at 14943 East 9 Mile Road on Sunday, September 10th, 2023, from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. with 12 feet between the bounce house and tent, and both must be blocked off with cones or barricades from the rest of the parking lot.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Cavanese.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Oh, yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Item F, approval of attendance for Councilmember DeMonico for the 2023 MML Convention, October 18th to the 20th.
Madam Mayor.
2023. You ready to go?
I would approve the attendance of Councilman DeMonico for the 2023 MML Convention to be held from the 18th to the 20th of this year, 2023.
Second.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanese.
Yes.
Next item is payroll and bills. Council.
Madam Mayor, I would move the payment of the bills for $5,658, $639.33. I didn't say that right, but
630s.
630.
Oh, 5,658,000,
That's what I was going to say.
$637.33.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Me too.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember Capanese,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next item is the second hearing of the public. Next item is the second hearing of the public is now open. Ladies first. Let the senator.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate all four candidates for how they conducted themselves through the primary this year. What I came up to speak about is those of you that are on the community pages probably know that Eastpointe lost a former councilwoman, and I lost a very good friend on Friday. She was killed in a house fire on vacation on an island off the coast of North Carolina. Colleen Cohen served this community honorably. She put in extensive time and volunteerism in this community. She was an active member of 8 Mile Kelly. She worked on the Grass Ship Cruise. She was flipping burgers at every cookout in this city, no matter where it was. I'm still in a state of shock. She and I are very close friends. And the funny thing is, we didn't like each other when I took office because we hung in two different groups of political people. And it wasn't that we knew each other to dislike each other. We just disliked each other because of who we were associated with. And it didn't take us long working together to realize, you know what? We have a lot more in common than we do disagreements. And quite frankly, all these people we're talking to, they're not perfect on either side. And from that, we developed a great friendship. And for those that didn't know in the community, she contributed a lot to what this community is today, and she'll be greatly missed. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry
Amen.
about the
Amen.
loss. Yes, sir.
Madam Mayor, how you doing?
How are you?
City Council, my name is Tony Cicchini. I have property at 16910 East 9 Mile. This is kind of in regards to the parking issue that we've been fighting with. First of all, I wanted to compliment everybody up there, and I think since we have been attending the city council meetings, I've been totally really impressed with all you guys. And it's not just a yes team up there, it's people questioning what's happening. And I think that's great for me as a business owner and the other residents. But yesterday, I had a great pleasure of meeting with Councilman DeMonico yesterday. He cares. He came out and I showed him measurements, showed him my property, and showed him my problem with the parking if it gets eliminated. While we were talking, I'm looking across the street, I see a jaywalker coming across the street. Well, the nearest crosswalk has got to be at least a quarter mile where somebody can cross safely. And I sure wish that AEW had maybe put their pencils down and said, let's make 9 Mile more safe for pedestrians instead of trying to take parking away from businesses that are struggling. Crossing area like a island refuge would help prevent any would help minimize pedestrian accidents. Right now, people aren't going to walk a quarter mile. Although I did tell Mr. DeMonico, I am a Boy Scout. I will walk to the street light, the signal light, but people don't do that. I think it's very important that we protect our citizens, and again, not taking away people's businesses. I can't believe the city really has approved this construction without making it safer. It's crazy. There has been a total lack of transparency from the city regarding the construction and the proposed removal of the parking. In an email that I got from Ms. Homan in beginning of July, we were told that once MDOT approved the plans, it was a done deal. Well, now we have backstepping, and now this can all be changed. So I kind of wonder.
Your time is up, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Federley again. I have a comment about distracted driving, and if we have a different ordinance than what is state law. If I drive into Hazel Park and I happen to be eating a bagel, I'm not going to know I'm in Hazel Park. So I think it's kind of difficult for drivers to know that the ordinance in Hazel Park is different than the state law. And if we're going to have anything for distracted drivers, it needs to be the people riding with dogs on their lap. You know, the drivers that's more distracting to drivers than a bagel or whatever. And the other question I wanted to thing I wanted to comment on is we got $10 million to replace lead lines. Is there any way some of the money that the regular budget for lead line replacement, the $1 million a year that we were spending, could be used to improve the lights and things on Kelly Road? Can that money be transferred to that fund instead of reducing what we wanted to do on Kelly Road for the look and stuff? Those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else?
This is Frank Fazzi again. I wanted to come up because I didn't complete what I was going to say. I wasn't pointing my talk to the council members or the mayor, but rather I was pointing them to the bureaucrats who run the city. Tonight was a classic example of doublespeak that I've heard. We were told at the first meeting that once the plans went to the city, they could not be changed. Went to the state, they could not be changed. We were told at the first meeting that we could not have parking on 9 Mile Road because it was a federal law and they were getting federal funds through MDOT, so they couldn't do this. All these things are being backstepped, and I don't know what is right and what is wrong. The next thing I'm going to hear is that, well, we sent the change plans to MDOT, and they won't approve the changes. And I could have sworn I heard at the last council meeting that the plans weren't to be sent until the council got a chance to review it. Now, maybe I didn't hear correctly, but there's a disconnect here. I'm very thankful to have the city council in this town. I just question the people that are doing the groundwork for you guys. I really do, but thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak before I close the hearing of the public?
Gary Myron again, Eastpointe resident. I agree with the last gentleman and the other ones. All the parking and all that was done many years ago. It was researched. It was not researched on a desk, was not researched on a computer. It was researched on foot and the community and what will help the small businesses. And that's what needs to be done again, is just help the small businesses. Like I said, has there been any traffic crashes, any accidents, anything in that neighborhood? I haven't heard anything. Everything seems good. I never have a problem. I'm up and down 9 Mile all the time. The residence has been around 9 Mile all the time. We know what's going on. We don't sit in other cities, other, desk. And me too, I'm not after you guys. The trees, they're going to remove 14 trees. They don't know where they're going to put them. Total Experience Banquet has to put in 20 trees. Why do they have to put in 20 trees when there's 1,000 trees available? They're in a big building. They have a small parking lot. It was made a long time ago, back in the day again. I think that some of that should go away, but that's my opinion, because it's a lot of money for the trees. I'm for the trees, but 9 Mile is not a very good place for a lot of trees. There's not a lot of room. There's small businesses, and you don't want to block their businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Larry Edwards. Evening, Mayor Owens and Council. I would just like to address as well the distracted driving and what have you. We have laws on the books now that just on the books for no reason at all, they're dead. Cohabitation is on the books as being one. Cursing. And this is going to be a dead one too, with this, due to what this governor has put in place. We've had two governors. Granholm did nothing absolutely at all. Then we got one now to go to extreme, overboard on everything, and what have you. And so, we just doing things to be doing things, and what have you. We got marijuana. There's a lot of reasons of distractions. Marijuana, we have data. We have data that shows what's caused most accidents with the distraction and everything, rather than penalizing everybody. What she placed the law on and what have you, the data shows the age group and the people that's mostly behind the accidents and the injury that's causing a lot of the problems and what have you. So I just really come to just saying everything. It's a dead bill. It won't last.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak?
Good evening, Council. My name is John Sloan. I've been a resident of Eastpointe for over 50 years. And I would like to indicate that as to the 9 Mile project, based on my experience working at Ford, we always talk about all these things that are gonna, we're gonna switch to bicycles. Cars may change, but that whole district is gonna still use cars to a high degree. There's gonna be a lot of fast traffic. There is now. And I really haven't heard anything that has done anything to slow down the traffic. I have to be honest with you, parking is one way that traffic slows down because cars are entering and departing the driving thing. And also there is not enough parking on the side streets, I would believe, to accommodate. And if I were the council, I'd be looking for ways to add more parking to 9 Mile. Any place that it could go in rather than get rid of it. The other question I have is I live at Topher and Kelly intersection. I'm a half block off of it. I've been there for over 50 years. And it was news to me tonight that we were spending, $700,000-800,000 or intending to spend $700,000-800,000 on these lights. As far as I could tell, those lights work perfectly fine. Our illustrious police even gave my wife a ticket for making a left turn on red that she shouldn't have. And they followed her up the drive. And I suppose if she'd have been polite enough to them, they might not have given her a ticket. She got what she deserved. So good job. It was quite a while ago. And so I would like to just ask, has this been thought out very carefully? I mean, I heard something about a box diagram and so on. If they were going to do anything, I would think you'd want to install a light system that they're using at Old 8 Mile and Beaconsfield, where the lights switch to green and red based on the level of traffic. I don't know if any of you are familiar with those lights, but if you're not, take a drive through there. And Beaconsfield used to sit there waiting all day for Old 8 Mile to, the lights to change for them. Now you get there, it changes in like 5 to 10 seconds and you're through. I'd rather see money spent on that kind of a light system rather than just moving lights around. I don't understand what the problem is with it because I've been there for 50 years and it's worked beautifully in all the 50 years. I've never loved having to make the stop on red It's very confusing to people, but I've never seen an accident caused by it. I'm sure there has been one somewhere, but I've never seen one there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Wow, 50 years you've been here?
We moved into my house in 66.
That's a long time. Wow. I don't think I was born. I wasn't. Is this your first council meeting?
I was here last time as well.
Okay, so this is your second one? Out of 50 years?
Well, as my kids were growing, I was very busy. For a while, when the economy was really bad, I worked 2 jobs.
I'm just happy that you're here. So welcome to the council meeting.
There's been a lot of good conversation.
Yeah.
And when the chips are down, find a way to not spend money. And find a way to reserve it if you can, so that you have it.
Right. Well, thank you for being here after 50 years. Thank you. I take that as actually a compliment because when I first got elected, it wasn't really people coming into the council meetings. They didn't even have a total capacity sign until I got elected. So having new people, new voices, new ideas coming to the council meeting, I'm happy about that. So I'm glad you're here. Anyone else would like to speak this time?
Not a happy note. I know you said that you're happy to hear that. But I know we were discussing the splash pad and how the community wants it, but have we explored other parks outside of Kennedy Park? With the increasing number of violence and incidents that have been occurring there, the community is concerned about that. Like there was a shooting last weekend, there was one a few weeks before that, and it constantly occurs. So have you all thought about other locations, or what can we do about the incidents that are occurring at that park?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Cicchini, business owner on 9 Mile. And we are still waiting for Mr. Kern to come out to our property and show us how his tape measure gets 14 feet and our tape measure gets 16 feet, 2 inches of our parking area and sidewalk in front of our building. All tape measures have to be the same, I would imagine. So I've invited him several times, and yet they still haven't come out because we have enough area out there for parking. We really need, I don't understand what his problem is really. So please, somebody invite him out that he'll listen to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak at this time?
All respect to Mayor Owens and City Council. Thank you for being here. My name is Carl Burks. I've been here since a resident in Eastpointe since 1999. You can figure out the math. And I have a perfect driving record. No infraction since I've been driving. And there was a situation about last of last month, where it was on 9 in Gratiot. They had like 2 lanes blocked, with the construction, and then on the far side, they had, with cars going and coming, and with that time of the day, it was like bumper to bumper. To make a long story short, I had made a right into the parking structure, where the utilities and stuff, to go in there. And when I came out, Gratiot is right directly there, even though they had the orange cones and 2 roads blocked and traffic followed there, which was bumper to bumper. So they didn't have no blocking of the turn right on Gratiot there, which was probably less than 100 feet. And I came out of the structure and I stopped. And look, it was almost impossible to get over there, so I thought it was okay since there was an opening there. Officer Piro, I believe that's his name, I think, utilized that as an entrapment zone, and I want that to be clear, because I'm a fair person. I thought it was an entrapment zone because he said he had been doing it all day, writing tickets. And then when I came out of the parking structure to make that right, which is less than 100 feet, he tells me, I've been doing this all day. And there was about 4 or 5 cars behind me, all pulled over, taking license from everyone. And it's been an all-day process, which I felt that being a citizen of Eastpointe, a resident, that they should have done something about that, made it more clear, blocked it off where you couldn't make a right there. Why should we be charged that kind of money, which was $120 to $345 for that turn? That's my concern today. And I thought it was an entrapment zone. So I don't know what you may have to say about it, but it's a concern. Because I don't think the city officials should infringe on the residents for money like that. Because everyone that was in the court that day, to handle the court date on that ticket, it was a lot of them for the same thing. And we all felt that was unfair, being residents. That's my main concern for being here today.
Thank you. Your first council meeting too?
I had a few sit-ins, but no complaints. I've came, and I think we have a wonderful, wonderful council and mayor.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And so we have our prosecuting attorney here.
Mhm.
And are you, did you get that down, Mr. Albright, about you got that a numerous amount of people getting ticketed for the same thing? Were you aware of that?
Madam Mayor, I'm aware of it. I was not the prosecutor there that day when most of the tickets were being adjudicated. I was told some of the individuals, some of the drivers who received tickets took a plea offer to a parking ticket, paid a fine because they didn't want to dispute the ticket, which resulted in no points on their license. Other drivers decided that they wanted to have a hearing in front of the judge, and those hearings resulted, I believe, in either adjournments or some dismissals. But I am aware that there was an officer posted out there issuing tickets. It was a valid ticket, but certainly a person has a right to dispute a ticket if they could receive a ticket from a police officer. The police officer has the burden of proof in establishing the ticket itself, and the person who receives the ticket has the right to cross-examine that officer during that hearing and present any witnesses that they want to present, and then ultimately the court would make a decision. But I am aware of that, that did happen, sir.
And if the mayor if it's okay, I'd like to speak on what he said.
You know what, believe.
But
I think I stopped your time a long time ago. I think your time is up, but I'll speak up for you a little bit.
Madam Mayor, I'm happy to talk to the gentleman after the meeting, too.
Absolutely, he'll talk to you after the meeting, but just getting back to our attorney, even though I know the role of an officer, and I also know the role of a resident getting the ticket and having the burden of proof, but also we have a numerous amount of the complaints. Did we fix the problem, or are we having people pay for things that we should be fixing on our own? I don't think that's fair if we're not doing what we're supposed to do. If we're not fixing the problem with ticketing people and saying they have to go to court, or people are settling to pay so they don't have points on their record, I want us to look into that. So, because I don't, if everybody having the same complaints, there's something wrong. And then if we know about the complaint and we're not doing anything about it, and we're still ticketing people, and it's a lot going to court and paying those fees and things like that, and knowing we are a distressed community already, and people are having different challenges that they're dealing with, that's something totally unacceptable, So I'm just really concerned about that, and I'm glad you came, because we are not aware of everything that goes on. But if we have how many people got that ticket? Was the amount, do you know? Was it over 10 people? It sounds like it's a lot of people.
I'm not sure of the amount, Madam Mayor. I think that the hearing was last Monday, that the individuals were in court. but I'm not sure of how many people were actually issued a citation for that moving violation. I don't know if perhaps the chief if he has any additional information at this time.
No, I heard some of the same information you did, but I don't have anything further. I know that in the construction zone, some barrels were being moved, not by construction people, which were causing some openings in the area at certain times that may or may not have been known about. But as far as an amount or how many, I have no idea.
Madam Mayor, if I may, I know that we should not be commenting without closing out public comment, but there was a gentleman that came into our office that morning. So as soon as we were made aware of it, we spoke with our DPW director. He also mentioned that cones had been moved and went out and put in extra measures so that this would be very clear. If I may, Mr. Palucci, he said while he sat in the proper lanes of traffic, he was surprised at how many people were driving in his construction zone. But as one follows the other, follows the other. I've always myself have been stuck in traffic and waited my turn. But so extra measures have been were put in place as soon as it was brought to our attention.
Okay. I guess what I was I know the city manager wanted to say something, Ms. Walton.
That was what I was going to mention.
Okay, because I know when he said he fixed the problem, but since we knew there was a problem, why did we continue with fining people? Am I getting it right?
No, so our understanding is that the barrels are being moved to avoid the traffic because it is significantly backing up because of construction. So barrels have been placed in the correct places. We have had DPW workers going out multiple times a day to ensure that they're in the right places and ensuring that they're set up correctly. But people are continuing to drive through that construction zone to avoid being backed up at the 9 Mile light for a right-hand turn.
And also, you can talk to our attorney and also our chief as well at the end of this meeting, so we can get more clarity. Because I'm hearing one side, I'm hearing another side, and a third side. But so everybody has their own input in it. So we just want to work towards being on one accord. Okay, thank you. Anyone else would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, the second hearing of the public is now closed. Mayor and council report, starting with Councilwoman Cobb-Muniz.
Good evening. Just briefly, I want to say a special thanks to our city manager, our deputy clerk, and the entire clerk and election staff who facilitated our primary. Also, want to remind everybody that on August 24th, we will have our summer concert series here at City Hall, and I know our administrative staff has been working hard to put that together, so please mark your calendars and plan to be there. I also want to announce on September 9th, Care Recovery will have a rally at Freedom Hill, so please look for more information on that. I want to thank our DPW director, Mr. Palucci, as well as Mr. Kern from AEW for their direct oversight of our local road resurfacing and also going out directly and addressing the needs of residents who had some concerns pertaining to that resurfacing, and they actually went out and went to each street. So thank you for taking the time to do that and getting right on the issue. Several residents have come back and just expressed their appreciation for that. So I know it's a lot for you guys to go out and touch every part of the city, but thank you for doing that. I also want to say happy belated birthday to Mr. Kern, who had a birthday this week. And also happy birthday to my dad, who is one of my greatest inspirations. His birthday is this Friday, and he will be the big 75. So I honor him. Also, just recently, I experienced the loss of an amazing Michigander. She was 96 years old, Maxine Marie Nelson Walls, an amazing woman who lived, worked, and served in her community in Michigan. and just a life very well lived, someone who poured into me. And there was a comment earlier pertaining to integrity, and I'm grateful for people like Maxine, like my father, who have poured into me to be the integrous woman that I am. And, you know, I just want to say going forward, with respect to any decisions that have been made on this dais, and in particular, the decision that was brought up tonight with respect to future training. If you go back and you look at that particular meeting, I neither made the motion, supported the motion, nor voted on the motion. It was my colleagues on this dais who made the motion, supported it, and passed it. And in accordance with my fiduciary duty for the full length of the time that I am serving on this council, I'm going to do it with everything that I have. And so that means that I will attend the meetings that I'm called to attend, and I will do it to the best of my ability until I have completed what I started here. When I'm done, then I'm done. And so I appreciate everyone who has made comments on tonight. Your comments are important. Hearing your voices is important. And then lastly, I just want to, my family is not here tonight. Typically they are. We had a loss in our household, so my condolences to my children. One of our pets passed away, and that might not be a big deal to you, but in our house, our pets are part of our family. And those of you who know, my family attends pretty much every city council meeting. But tonight I wanted to honor them and let them sit this one out because it was a bit close to the vest. That's all I have.
Sorry about your losses. Welcome, as well as our senator. We lost one too. So those in the audience or at home, anyone that's experienced a loss in your family, whether it's a pet. I have 2 cats. So, and they bring me so much joy and a lot of money on my furniture, I'm gonna say that much. But, ruin my furniture. But they are part of our family, and I understand that. And they help with a lot of healing and things like that goes on. So, to anyone that has lost someone, my condolences as well. Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly share the sadness that Senator Kleinfeld has for Colleen Cohen. She was a remarkable young lady. She sat up here and diligently took care of our city. And I'm thinking of all the people when they heard that Colleen had died. You know, they're going to say, you know, I was going to call her too. I was just going to call her and to see how she was doing. So I'm asking all of you tonight, those here in the chambers and those at home, to think about the people that you haven't contacted for a long time. Maybe it was your mom or dad or brother or sister or grandpa or just friends that you keep saying, I'm going to have to pick up the phone and call Harvey. I haven't talked to him for a long time. But, you know, those thoughts that you have may end when you get a call and say that Harvey died or whoever died, and you won't be able to call them. So I pray that you would pick up the phone and call that person that you keep saying, I'm going to call them, and never have. Amen.
Thank you. Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Yeah, first, Councilwoman Communities, sorry about your family pet. I certainly would feel the same way. I love cats and dogs. I don't know if it was cat or dog, but yeah. Rabbit? Okay, well, like rabbits too. I guess there's not really many pets I don't like. So sorry again, and yeah, condolences to Councilwoman Colleen Cohan's family. Just very, very tragic, and yeah, I don't know what to say. So Senator Kleinfeld and Mr. Councilman Curley and everyone else that knew her. I didn't personally know her, but condolences to everyone that did and to her family. Let's see. First, I want to mention something Mr. Myron mentioned at hearing of the public. I meant to bring it up during the traffic signal upgrades, if we can keep in mind where those, what are they called now? I can't think of where all the electrical, what is it? Yeah, where the boxes go, the control boxes go. If we can, make sure they go in good places. I'd have to say at least 2 of the boxes I wish were in a slightly different place, so we can keep that in mind when we're doing that project. That'd be helpful. And then to Mr. Sloan, who brought up then also the traffic signals, and I guess Mr. Kern or anyone else, correct me if I'm wrong, but the grant we've gotten money from is for congestion mitigation and air quality, so I think the point is, from what I recall reading many, many months ago when we first talked about this, is that hopefully the traffic is better. You know, it's green longer when there's more cars and it's red at night, you know, so these streetlights will all be doing that same sort of thing, and hopefully then, you know, you're sitting at a light less often or for less of a period of time. Let's see. Mr. Burks, if you were going to talk to our attorney, I'd be happy to listen in and hear a little bit more detail about what happened with your traffic stop. And then, let's see, Rockin' Summer Night, if anyone was there, that was a great event that Rare put on. Everyone at Rare puts a ton of time in to put those events together, try and make it out. Sarah Frederick and Tony Lipinski and all the staff at Rare did a great job. I tried out a new food truck. You know, all kinds of community members out there. I believe the next one won't be on election day, so everybody can make it. I know a lot of the election workers would have loved to have been out there. And then we'll also be starting back up meetings for the group that puts together the Memorial Day Parade, but we do a Veterans Day event also, so if anyone's interested in that, let me know. We'll be having our next meeting, I think on Monday. Yeah, I want to say on Monday. At 6 p.m. at the Military Museum. If you're interested, just show up or give me a call or something if you're not sure. But we could use your help. We need different people that know different things. So please come on out if you're interested in that. And yeah, I guess one last thank you again to all the election workers. It's a super, super long day for everybody. Everyone does a great job. Ms. Walton, Ms. Underwood, there's so many people. All your neighbors help out at the different precincts and all that. So thank you to everyone for that. And thanks to the whole crew of different people that came out today. Senator Kleinfeld, Representative Edwards, thanks for coming out and talking about various different things. And Mr. Paolucci, Mr. Kern, Mr. McLeod back there from the court. Thanks everybody. You know, it takes a lot of people to do everything in the city. So thank you for coming out and answering questions and everything. So with that, that's all, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Pro Tem Baker.
Thank you. Just want to issue condolences to everybody that expressed the loss of loved ones and friends. I've experienced that myself. In fact, several years ago, or actually within about 4 or 5 years, I had lost just about as many people. So I averaged almost a person a year. With that thought, just like Councilman Curley said, you know, we often think about reaching out to someone that we haven't spoken to in a while. But it's the indeterminate number of days that we have of this thing called life. Knowing that those days go by quickly, knowing that those days are limited, but that is also what gives life value. The same as a flower, we know that a flower will wilt and wither and die in a short amount of time. That is why it gives it more value. Life is the same way. You know that you have a limited number of days. We can all remember back when we were young, we were kids running around, playing, doing different things. But knowing that we have a limited number of days, that is what gives value and significance to life. So we need to make the most of it, spend less time on little petty things, non-issues, and really prioritize things that are important. Family, loved ones, being a good human being, doing for others. Are we adding good into the world? Those are the things that we should focus on, because we don't know how much time we will have on this earth. We can be here and healthy today, and literally within 24 hours, it can change. That's my thought. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to say thank you for everyone that came out who has never been here, whether it's been 5 years, 5 days, or whatever how long you lived here. Thank you for being part of the conversation and letting us know how you feel. I want to thank Mr. Zander. Since I've been up here, he has been always volunteering to say the prayer, which has been so helpful to us moving our council meeting very positively. Starting everything with God is how I like to start my day. And I would like to thank everybody that helped with the election process last Tuesday. I don't think we had a primary during the mayor's. I didn't have a primary when I ran 4 years ago, and I don't think the last mayor did either. So it was a primary that came up in almost 10 years, I believe. So, so the voters that did come out that were able to remember to vote that came out, thank you for voting as well. And then I know our state representative spoke about the Kennedy Park and why did we choose that area. I think probably got a link that probably would lean more towards our assistant city manager, Ms. Holman. I know you do a lot for the community, so I'm just, you can probably go to her. Okay, we can talk to you after that. But we have had a lot of problems, in Kennedy Park, and we have talked about those things. One thing I want to push forward and going forward, I remember when our U.S. representative, Mr. James, he got elected, the first person. I know one thing, he did contact me. I don't know if he contacted anybody else up here, but I feel like being a leader in the community, we need to connect and be able to communicate and ask the mayor, ask the council what's going on, like I would ask the senator, like I would ask the state rep, what's going on. We haven't had a conversation, a meeting, or anything since you all been elected. Since I've been elected, I haven't heard or made those conversations. And I think as leaders, we are disconnected in what we want for our community. And the people that's doing it every day locally is just the respecting to ask us what's going on in Kennedy Park. I think me and our city manager just talked about putting cameras in there, but we trying to lean back to people being watched when they're with their children. So there are things that we talk about, but if you don't ask us, the people that's sitting up here, that's dealing with the things day to day, you probably have, but I haven't had those conversations. And I would like to, but I haven't, and you all been elected for a while. And we just need to be able to communicate more. And like I said, I give respect to those that have. If you did, I haven't heard from either one of you since I've been up here, since you've been elected. And when Mr. James got elected, he reached out and wanted to know what could he do to serve, what's going on in Eastpointe, Mayor Owens. And I don't know if he reached out to anybody else. I just want us to continue as leaders, because we all are leaders. And it's not about if you like me, who won, or anything like that. We all are leaders. Even people who are on the commission are leaders that oversee it. So if you have a question about what's going on in the park, why don't you ask the commissioners that's in the park, ask those people who oversee these things day by day and see what's going on and how they feel as well. And I think it's a disconnect going on, and I think we can do a lot better, and I think we will. So I said that to say, again, my condolences to the senator, Councilman Curley, and also our councilwoman who was up here today, and anyone else. And thank you all for being here.
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support for adjournment. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Communis,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Meeting adjourned. Everyone have a good night.